Welcome to Jersey, the largest of the Channel Islands, just a few miles off the coast of Normandy. The Channel Islands are part of the British Isles, but they're self-governing. In fact, Jersey isn't just a beautiful island with a mild and sunny climate. It's also a thriving international banking and financial centre, owing to local laws and regulations which result in very low taxation and other benefits for people and businesses that use the financial services of this island. Half of Jersey's income comes from these services. The rest comes mainly from tourism, and in this programme we'll be looking at Jersey's tourist industry and at the work of Sue Daniel, a tourist executive. Sue is based at the offices of Jersey Tourism.
This is our main centre for visitors coming into Jersey. We have two parts. First of all, an information bureau where people can come and find out about the castle or the zoo or whatever. And then we have the accommodation section where we take central bookings. We can book guest houses and hotels all over the island for people who have arrived without accommodation.
Here we are, this is the one. Oh, that's great. It's located in the west of the island. So it's about 5 minutes from the beach. It has its own outdoor swimming pool.
But my main area now is the European Marketing Department.
Coastline, whether we have any plans for next year to change it, what we're looking to do next year.
First of all, the escape to Jersey doesn't indicate in any way that it's in French, and that certainly caused us a problem this year. And also, as you say, there isn't really any link with that picture to Jersey. This one is probably in its own way more successful because at least it's got some concept of Jersey on it, whereas this, it's a lovely, beautiful idea. But I do think we have to link in, as you say, maybe some of the North Coast in black and white.
We also cover the exhibitions we arrange for where we're going to exhibit Jersey in Europe as part of our marketing strategy.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if you could let me know that, that would be great. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sue works with tourist boards in the other Channel Islands to ensure the best possible publicity for all of them at international tourism exhibitions.
Promising.
Sue occasionally also has to visit the chamber of the Jersey States Assembly to report to Sir Philip Baylash, Bailiff of Jersey.
The bailiff is the president of the States Assembly. The States Assembly is the island's parliament, and is also the president of the Royal Court. The bailiff is also the island's chief citizen and has certain administrative responsibilities for communications between the island's government and the United Kingdom.
Jersey has enjoyed internal self-government since 1204. The island is part of the British Isles, but it is independent from the United Kingdom, and it is outside the European Union. Unlike the rest of the British Isles, Jersey is subject only to the British Crown, not to the United Kingdom Parliament. As a result, changes in the island's status have to be confirmed by Royal Charter. In Jersey, the Crown is represented by the Lieutenant Governor, appointed by the Queen every 5 years. The States of Jersey, the island's parliament, passes the laws which govern internal affairs. There are 53 elected members presided over by the bailiff, who is appointed by the Queen. The bailiff is not only president of the States Assembly. As president of the Royal Court, he is head of the island's legal system. He's also the island's chief citizen. When the United Kingdom passes laws which affect the island, the British Home Office, representing Parliament, communicates with the Lieutenant Governor, representing the Queen, who in turn communicates with the Bailiff, representing the States of Jersey. The Bailiff is then responsible for communicating with the departments or committees of the States Assembly representing the island's citizens. This is the medieval castle of Mount Orgueil. Jersey is famous for its many old buildings and for its beaches. I went to Mount Orgueil to meet Sue. She was helping some tourists, but when she had finished with them, she talked to me about her job.
I work in the mainland Europe marketing department, which means that my duties include welcoming journalists, obviously covering the press and media. For example, this week I have a journalist coming from France who is a floral journalist. That means that he wants to see some of our private gardens, so I'll ensure that he sees the most beautiful private gardens that we have, and also some more natural areas. I like to meet and greet tourists wherever I can and as often as I can. For example, if we have groups in a hotel or at a visitor's attraction, anywhere where I can catch up with them, just to ensure that everybody's enjoying themselves, that they're seeing the right things, that their couriers are looking after them properly and all this sort of thing, really to ensure that they're having a good stay with us in Jersey. Thank you very much for coming. And bon après-midi.
À la prochaine.
Merci beaucoup et puis ravi d'avoir fait votre connaissance. Oui, à bientôt.
À bientôt, j'espère. Oui.
Bon après-midi.
Sue, what kind of tourists come to Jersey?
Well, really all sorts of tourists. We actually divide our market into two very important sections. First of all, visitors from the United Kingdom, and then visitors from mainland Europe. And they tend to look for completely different things. For example, the UK tourists tend to be older, tend to be retired, or even with families. We have a very big family market from the United Kingdom. But from mainland Europe, it's completely different. They tend to come more to explore, more to cycle, to walk, to do activities. They really are more adventurous as a general rule. And the market is a lot younger. The largest mainland Europe market is the French. We're very, very close to France, and it's very, very easy for them to come across. And then after that, the German market is also becoming more and more important to us.
Why would you say do people come to Jersey for their holiday instead of, say, going further south to the sun?
I think the days of sun worshipping are gone. I don't think that's really what people are looking for in their holiday anymore. You know, all the major Spanish resorts and sort of Mediterranean coast used to be very, very popular. Now I think holiday time is so precious that people are looking for something different. They're looking for somewhere where they can sit on the beach, but they can also do something else, and they know that if the weather's not so good, there's lots of other beautiful things to see and to do as well. We've really got a little bit of everything.
What sort of activities do you have here?
Well, we have, for the more adventurous, a lot of water sports. You can imagine we're surrounded by water. You can do a diving course, for example, or windsurfing, surfing, all sorts of water activities, certainly. And also on land, a lot of, as I've mentioned before, cycling is very, very popular. A lot of, in particular the Dutch, tend to leave their cars in France and come over and cycle for 2 weeks, which is very nice, I think.
One reason for visiting Jersey is that the island's large sandy beaches are never really crowded. I talked to several tourists, starting with a family on the beach. Excuse me, where are you from?
Wellington, Somerset, in England.
What type of a holiday do you look for when you come to Jersey?
Oh, just to enjoy yourself, you know, find the beaches, places to see, things like that. I mean, it's a generally good holiday for the children.
What do you look for when you come on holiday to Jersey?
We look for the sun, the sea and the sand, and so it is Jersey's renowned for glorious weather.
Do you do any sports when you're here?
Yes, we do jet skiing.
What are you going to see in Jersey?
We might go and see the Occupation Museum and the Underground Hospital if the weather doesn't pick up.
Have you been to Jersey before?
Yes, many times, about 18 times. The first time we came here on our honeymoon. We've been back many years between this place and America, but we enjoy coming back here better than anywhere.
What is it you like so much about Jersey?
I think because it never changes, we know what we'll get. It's clean, the people are friendly, and we usually get the sun.
Many young people are here to study English.
Where are you from?
I'm from Norway.
What are you doing here?
I'm on summer school to learn English.
Where do you come from?
I come from Susma, a very little village in Finland.
What are you doing in Jersey?
I'm on a language course and I try to learn a bit more English.
Jersey is a good place for shopping too.
What do you like most of all here?
I like going to the Jersey Gold Centre. Naturally, you know, beautiful gold, reasonable prices. I like it.
There are lots of duty-free goods to attract tourists. There's another reason for being in Jersey, as I found out from the next person I talked to.
Excuse me, are you a tourist?
No, I'm not a tourist. I've been living in Jersey for 13 years.
Where did you come from?
I came from England and I came here to work.
What do you do?
I'm an accountant and I work in the finance industry.
Financial services and banking account for 50% of Jersey's gross domestic product, or GDP, and of the revenue, or income, it earns from taxes. There are 31,000 registered companies on the island and 77 banks which have deposits worth £90 billion. A large proportion of these deposits are in foreign currency. This is mostly the result of the favourable taxes imposed by the island's government. There is no value-added tax or VAT on goods or services, and tax on company profits is only about 20%. Personal income tax is also 20%, and there is no inheritance tax on the money and possessions left by people when they die. This makes Jersey an attractive place to keep money or investments, and also to live. But residence on the island is carefully controlled. To qualify as a new resident, a person has to be a wealthy immigrant. Wealthy immigrants must prove that they have an income of at least £750,000 in order to produce at least £150,000 in tax revenue for the island. Many people who work on the island are not actually residents, hotel staff, for example. I talked about this situation with the president of the Hotel and Guest House Association, Malcolm Lewis.
So Malcolm, is Jersey's hotel staff mainly from the island?
No, it's not. No, the majority of workforce within the industry come from Portugal, and that's been due entirely to a special relationship, a special agreement between Portugal and the island.
And What are you doing to rectify the situation, to get locals to work in the industry?
Well, the Hotel and Guesthouse Association, together with the Restaurateurs Association, the Guild of Sommeliers and the Jersey Chef Circle, are working very hard in terms of promoting the industry within the schools in the first instance, demonstrating to the youngsters that it's a great profession. And secondly, the catering colleges themselves, and encouraging the catering colleges to provide the very courses that are required by the youngsters of the island, and that will be of benefit to them in the future within this industry.
What do Jersey's hotels and guest houses have to offer?
Well, first of all, Jersey is an island, and we have some of the most wonderful beaches that I know of. In fact, they're internationally acclaimed as some of the cleanest beaches in Europe. We have a whole variety of different types of hotels and guest houses, from manor houses to farmhouses to waterside hotels. A whole variety. There's something for everybody, including conference facilities, which is very important these days. We also have fantastic sporting facilities. Again, we have the beaches, all the water sports. We have horse riding. We have terrific golf courses on this island. We have archery. We have, you name it, you name the sport, we can provide it here on the island of Jersey.
Also, can you tell me the difference between a hotel and a guest house?
Well, it's primarily a question of size, but guest houses tend to be proprietor run. That's to say, the proprietor will be there personally welcoming the guests, personally cooking the breakfast, personally providing the dinner, whereas the hotel tends to be a little bit more, that little bit bigger, and perhaps a little less impersonal. But here on Jersey, we do pride ourselves on hospitality and personality in terms of offering service.
Parts of Malcolm's own hotel, Longville Manor, date back to the 13th century. It's a small luxury hotel with beautiful gardens.
How do you promote Jersey's hotels and guest houses abroad?
Well, the Jersey Tourism Department has representation in all the major European countries, and this is the first step in putting the word across that Jersey is here. We have a backup of advertising and promotion. We have the brochure itself, the European version of our what we call the Where to Stay brochure, which is sent to all inquirers who request information on the island of Jersey and of accommodation on the island.
It's part of Sue Daniels' job to discuss the brochures with Malcolm Lewis.
What do you think about our presentation of the two brochures, in particular perhaps the European brochure, which the Jersey Hotel and Guesthouse Association produces? Do you see that we should perhaps be looking for some improvements?
I certainly have a few suggestions. I mean, I realise there are always limitations. I mean, it's a pity in a way that we can't have the size of the UK brochure, but I realise that, you know, the postage and what have you, that's always a problem every year that comes up. A couple of practical points, really, with comparing the two brochures. I know that for us at Tourism this year, the listing in the front has been very useful. It's always a very useful sort of cataloguing guide, and I notice it's not in the European version.
Yes, that's right.
Is there a way of including that?
Well, that's something we are looking at. It's, as you rightly say, it's the size which is a problem, which doesn't
That's right. That's another point I wanted to make. For example, people tend to ask these days for vegetarian menus, and things like, another thing that is quite common is no smoking rooms.
That's right. Well, I think you'll find certainly for next year, we've having had various discussions with the Jersey Tourism Department.
Yes.
Certainly the vegetarian issue is something that we've taken on board.
In recent years, tourism has accounted for 25% of Jersey's gross domestic product. Many of the visitors are day trippers from the United Kingdom and France, but there are also a large number of tourists staying on the island. Every year, more than 600,000 of these tourists stay in Jersey, and they have a wide choice of hotels, guest houses, campsites, and holiday villages. I wanted to know a bit about Sue's career in the tourist industry and about her life in Jersey.
Sue, how long have you worked in the tourist industry?
In total, probably about 7 years. Even going back to my student days, I used to work on the boats that travel between Jersey and the other Channel Islands and at the French coast on day trips. Then, when I finished university, I actually went to France, and I lived in the south of France, in Antibes, for a period of about 4 years, where I worked firstly at Nice Airport. Then I left tourism and decided to go into teaching. But soon returned. Missed the excitement.
So what do you find most rewarding about your job?
It has to be seeing tourists come to Jersey. When you spend all winter working and marketing and designing brochures and arranging hotel brochures, it's wonderful when the season starts and you see the figures, the number of tourists mounting again, and it's really rewarding.
But do you ever have any difficult guests?
I don't know if you'd ever speak to anybody who works in the tourism industry who doesn't have difficult guests. I think that's part of the fun. Of course, we have difficult customers. Not actually many. I've spoken to other tourist offices, and I think we're quite lucky. But we do get the odd one, for sure.
And what do they argue about?
Let me think. Let me give you an example. Yes, we had one gentleman who booked a hotel with us. And he wanted to pay a supplement for a sea view, which was great, so we arranged a sea view room for him. The next morning, he was back in the office, very, very angry, and came up to me and said, "I have a complaint to make." And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, what can I do to help?" The tide went out. I paid a sea view supplement, and the tide went out. So, what can you say?
Sue is very busy, but she still has time to do everyday things like shopping in the market for vegetables. Here she is buying one of the island's most famous products, Jersey Royal potatoes. Sue likes to get away from it all by cycling around the island. She invited me to go with her. We started by cycling through some of Jersey's green lanes. These green lanes give priority to cyclists and walkers, and the speed limit is only 15 miles an hour.
Just a way of making them. You can tell someone about them. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's not.
Sue also showed me some of the island's tourist attractions. Elizabeth Castle was built in the 16th century when cannon fire was invented, and Mount Orgueil Castle in Goree was no longer safe. It can be reached on foot at low tide, and at high tide there is a boat. At the end of St. Brelard's Bay is the small fishermen's chapel, also called the Chapelle des Pêcheurs. Next, Sue took me to look at some of the island's ancient monuments. La Hougue Bee is a massive burial ground dating from about 4000 BC. It's one of the most fascinating ancient sites in Europe. On top of the mound, there's also a medieval chapel. The dolmen of Folge are a collection of stones to mark an ancient burial site estimated to be about 4,500 years old. The main stone, the capstone, is estimated to weigh 24 tons. Grone is a collection of mysterious ruins thought to have been built in the 14th century to protect the Western Jersey people against the French. Corbière Lighthouse was built at the end of the last century, and ships have come to grief here for hundreds of years. It's the first concrete lighthouse to be built in the British Isles. You can reach it at low tide, but there is an alarm that rings when you have to leave. St. Brolard's Bay is one of the most popular bays for visitors to Jersey, and a special favourite with British tourists. Waimea Beach is said to have been used by many smugglers of illegal goods into Jersey in the past. Now the only sign that remains is a little pub called the Old Smugglers Inn. St. Albans Harbour was once the island's main port. It used to be a centre for boat building and knitting. The ladies who lived in the houses along the port used to knit stockings, which were famous all over the world. After our bike ride, it was time for Sue to join some friends in the Old Portlet Inn, one of Jersey's pubs.
It's very nice to spend the evening with friends discussing the day's adventures. That's really a nice pastime. And anyway, I don't think I'd be British if I didn't like going to the pub.
The Old Portlet Inn, the perfect place to end a busy day. Sue will be back at work again tomorrow, meeting more tourists. See you again soon. Goodbye.